the reality, Josh, is like right now we are experiencing the greatest censorship event like since the beginning of the internet, as far as I understand.
Yeah.
You can't talk about 5G. It's not just because David Icke mentioned it. It's now like algorithmically, you have people, these YouTube influencers, that won't even say the word, which is really kind of emasculating, or whatever the female equivalent is of that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I think that that's a sign that this needs to happen now more than ever. Like I am completely the biggest advocate of this event on the planet. So
One of the so-called reasons of the massive censorship around 5G that's been put in place by the mainstream media and social media
yeah,
is that, they're saying, well, it's just part of a conspiracy theory that people are saying that 5G is the cause of CV, of the virus, and
yeah,
that
it's a
that's
straw
like
man.
it's the
Yeah.
only cause. And we're not saying that, but we're saying that the science, there's a ton of science on EMF and immune system
Well,
effects.
well, okay. So there's a number of things happening. One is that yes, some people have said, okay, 5G may be connected to, the outbreak of illness in China and throughout other countries like the United States.
Yep.
And just questioning or drawing that link is considered now a violation of what community standards of YouTube or Facebook. You can't even say that. So why is that? Well, because it's almost a way of validating that we are onto something very profound,
Yep.
that they do not want people to question the adverse effects of 5G, because there was never a single, as you've pointed out, independent or industry, well, there was never an industry funded safety study.
Yep.
So clearly, if people know this, they need the precautionary principle dictates it needs to stop immediately. But we have these military style installations popping up all over the country. And there's a guy that I was listening to, his name's James True, and he talks about this geofencing. I don't know how many, 6,000 or 7,000 fences are being created with this millimeter wave technology. What does that mean? Well, if you look at the history of millimeter waves, the active denial system that the Defense Department created utilized those wavelengths to burn the skin or worse of people exposed to them. So you have literally like, these pens or these fences being built all throughout the United States. That's probably why they don't want people to question 5G. And then you have what, interestingly, I think Alex Jones told this to Brian Rose. You have the false flag being created, because what better way than to target activists and people telling the truth than light a few of these on fire and say, oh, it's these people spreading misinformation.
Yep.
So they've weaponized their agenda, unfortunately, against us. So, that's, I think, a little bit of the context of why we're seeing the global search volume go up as high as it ever has been, and yet you can't even tell the truth anymore about it or ask questions. So that's why this summit is obviously the answer.
Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, we've got, just for your audience, the most of your audience is already aware that we've got all 42 original talks, but we're adding in new content, right? And just like, for example, a couple of days ago, I was sharing with you my excitement for this new, looking at this one study, declassified by the CIA, of Russian research, specifically on millimeter waves, specifically
Wow.
on 37 to 60 gigahertz. It says
Yeah.
5 to 8 millimeters, and specifically at the levels, the threshold level at which the FCC, Health Canada, IGNERP, and other agencies says is the safety threshold level. So it's
Is that for
very,
power density, you're saying? The
yes,
same power?
same power
Okay.
density.
That's
So
huge.
it's huge, and that's only one study out of hundreds out there. Like I say, that hundreds to do with immune system effects and around EMF in general,
Yes.
and thousands, as we know, to do with effects, other types of effects from EMF. And this was known 40 years ago.
Well, Josh, you encouraged us at GreenMedInfo to go ahead and catalog as a bunch of studies. We have over 1,000 now on EMF-induced harm across several hundred conditions. So it's just striking to me that there's this massive growing body of literature proving non-safety or harm, and yet it's conspiracy theory to even question this. So thank you for encouraging us to create that resource, which I believe we're going to be giving away for free along with all the other great stuff as part of the summit.
Yeah, and you and I both are really tuning in, like tapping into how powerful the whole thing about consent is, and removing our consent once we're aware, right? We have to go beyond like Facebook activism or online activism or
Mm.
whatever, just sharing information, becoming aware. There has to be a next level, right? So, and you
Yes.
with your work, you're tapping into that powerfully, and we're doing that in the summit.
Well, I want people to fully understand this because it's so powerful. Okay. What I've observed is that this day and age, people share, myself included, something on Facebook or Twitter, and I feel like a little micro activist. And unfortunately, that's just not working out very well. You also have people who think, you click a petition and then that somehow is going to generate some kind of effect. And what we've come to understand, and Josh, you helped me with this profoundly,
Mhm.
is that there is a way to take software that exists. In fact, large groups use it, like the NRA and Merck, et cetera, and utilize it to remove all the barriers of access between the constituent and the elected official. And I think a lot of people need to know more about this because you built it into the summit. No one's ever done this before. And there was 150,000 emails or
More than
messages sent.
210,000 during the summit went to elected reps. And so what we want to see like a million or more now, because so many more people are becoming aware of this, right? Like now is the time. We really have to just say, no, we don't want that agenda. And at the same time, we can red pill, if you will, all of the elected reps all at the same time with this powerful templated notice process that takes about 2 minutes for people to do.
It's huge because, anyone who's at home, they get activated on an issue and you go ahead and go to a government site and you look up your, representative and think about writing an email. No one does it because it takes forever. And ultimately what you've done in creating this action tool is it takes a couple clicks and it's done. And so I think the people out there that are making these decisions, they need the air cover. All they're getting from their, the higher in the hierarchy is, you've got to do this. And then they're thinking about getting reelected, but then they start getting waves of these emails. They're like, well, if I'm going to stay in power, I better do right by citizens. And that's what this is doing. So I want people to be aware of that, is it's not just about providing amazing content, which it has a ton of. I mean, some of these talks, Josh, blew my mind. In fact, I even went ahead and did some of the dirty electricity mitigation and started to really think more about how to hardwire certain devices. And I'm a co-producer of the summit. So, I mean, the point is that we all have so much to learn still. And this is extremely impactful. I mean, when it's PhDs and scientists and MDs whose life's work is understanding this stuff, saying, hey, this is how it works. This is why we should be concerned. It's hugely impactful.
Yeah, we got some additional new content, specifically a new solutions course as well that's being developed right now. 2020 Solutions is the title, the name of that course, which is an add-on module available for everyone. But I'm just so stoked to have, just to put this all out there for free. And then the intention is to have an online community that's birthed essentially with this relaunch so that we can do this thing together with supporting each other, looking at the best strategies, what's currently working, notices of liabilities process too, for those that want to do that, the powerful, multi-step process. And
Yeah,
for
yeah.
people really to engage, just opening up this
Well,
conversation at a time when they are trying to shut it down.
Well, people that don't know your previous work, although I highly suggest they start getting up to speed. Take Back Your Power. That documentary blew my mind on smart meters, but really it was sort of like a vision of what was to come, because you were explaining how, data is worth more than oil today. And that's why there's surveillance technology built into the smart meters, which then helped to open me up to what 5G is really about, which is about surveillance and mining data and control. So that's something that people should really look into. But there's so much more to this summit. Like when it comes to the notice of liability, literally what's going on is people have consented to powers being enacted. That are like someone sets up a 5G pole outside your house. They're saying they can do that. It's legal and it's moral. But you have a right to be able to say, hey, no, I don't consent.
They don't want to deal with people who are awake and engaged and asserting their rights and removing their consent and
No.
putting like huge amounts of liability and showing that they're not going to go away, right? So we're learning
Hey.
a lot. We've learned a lot over the past 5 years.
Yeah.
And so for people that want to do something different, we're bringing into the conversation, into the 2020 summit, some new local grassroots leaders and how they're working with lawyers locally, and some of these towers and some of these things are coming down. So
Yes, that's huge. I mean, I have you to thank. For example, I'm here in Florida. FPL is literally one click to get your stupid smart meter off the house, and then they'll go analog. And it's because of the work that you've done and others who've gone ahead and do the notice of liability process. These corporations will change their behavior. It's got to come from the grassroots up.
Yep.
It's not going to be the regulators, captured agencies, right? It's not the media, but it's going to be through these sorts of events. So I just wanted to, thank you for, creating this and inviting me to help support it. So I want everybody on our list to join, to share this, to be part of the event. And so we can get this out as far and as wide as possible, because I do believe that collectively we have the ability to turn this agenda back and to basically stand up for our basic human rights and create a more beautiful world, that we know is possible. So I really commend you for your efforts. And I just hope everyone follows you and your work and is part of this summit.
Thanks, Sarah. It's great to be doing this with you. And I look forward to this, this event. I think it's going to reach many, many people, and hopefully we can have a chance to change the course of our future together.
Absolutely. Thanks, Josh.